Hollywood Hospital.
Yeah. They were taken there. I went to this fortune fella and said, "What's happening to us?" He said, "The Red Cross is coming to pick you up at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning." I said, "I beg your pardon?" "We've been away 4 years and we're going ashore." He said, "There's an armed guard on the docks." And I said, "I'll give you 5 minutes to get rid of them, because we're going and we'll take them with us if we have to." Somehow or other, I don't know how, somehow or other we got up to Perth, and there's a hotel in the main street called the Esplanade. Is it still there?
Yes, it's down, it overlooks the river, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
We banged on the door and they said, "Get lost." And we said, "Look, we ex-Jap prisoners of war." It was 9 o'clock at night. They let us in and we had they treated us royally. How we got back to the Menunda, I have no idea. I don't know.
Do you remember the names of all the nurses, or can you remember any of the nurses that were on that vessel with you?
Oh yeah, Vivian Bullwinkle, Wilma Oram,
Pat Gunther, obviously.
Pat Gunther.
Was Ioli Harper with them?
Yeah, Ioli. Cecilia Delforce, Rose Ashton, she was the eldest of them.
Hannah, was she?
The little one was called Clark, I think. Wilma Oram. Yeah, I remember a lot of them, especially as when we got to Fremantle we discovered that whiskey, Corio whiskey. And I think we were blind drunk, a lot of us, across the Great Australian Night.
Was Mavis Hannah with them?
Mavis Hannah, South Australian,
Yes.
yeah. Yes, you've written her up on your site.
Well, it wasn't my work. I've just reproduced it. It was in fact Fred Stahl's work.
Was it?
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah. So that was one reason why we wanted to hope to see him today.
Yeah, I saw a bit of Mavis when we first got home, but she lived fairly close. My parents lived at Crowder Park and was close to Goodwood, and Mavis lived there. But then we lost contact. I think she got married.
She married a British POW.
Yeah.
So from Fremantle, where did the vessel go?
Well, it didn't come to Adelaide. It came into Port Phillip, and it was raining like hell. We berthed about 7 o'clock at night, and they drove us out to what's the hospital there?
Heidelberg.
Heidelberg. And we were virtually imprisoned. And mind you, we were carrying all sorts of weird wogs. We were there for five days, and each day I was the senior officer of the South Australians, about 10 South Australians, I think. And anyway, on the 5th day I went to the head of Heidelberg and said, "Look, we're going home tonight. If you don't put a carriage on the Melbourne Express for us, we're going to jump the Rattler." And we would have. Fed up with it. Anyway, they gave us a special carriage, and we came in and we were offloaded from the train at Goodwood station here, put in a bus and taken to the exhibition buildings, which was occupied by the army. And there I met my parents and my sister and brother. And we were given, I think, a weekend leave. We were pretty dangerous. I mean, I had amoebic dysentery, strongy loidy, whatever it's called. Anyway, we were then given weekend leave. Went back into Dawes Road Repatriation Hospital, and so I was on a bed, irrigated to get rid of the amoebic dysentery. And from what I can hear of other people, I'm lucky to have gotten rid of it. We were then virtually in hospital. We just had pyjamas and dressing gown and slippers, and we were not supposed to leave the hospital. But groups of us used to get out of the hospital, get the tram, which ran right to Dawes Road, go down Goodwood Road to the Goodwood Hotel, and we told them who we were, and we never had any money, and we didn't need any money anyway. It was all on the house. come back half blotto to... We spent a lot of time in the nurses' home. There was the chief medical officer there was a fellow called Freddie LeMeasurer. He was about 5'2", and how he ever graduated as a medico is beyond me. He knew nothing about us. He knew nothing about our medical conditions. He certainly knew nothing about our psyche. And there were things said about us, like well, some of it's reproduced in that Lifelong Captives booklet that the Veterans Affairs brought out. That says something about some of our problems arise from a sense of guilt or something. Well, that really sends me up the wall. And in fact, Les Poitevin, in Samurais and Circumcisions, and in that paper he wrote only a couple of years before he died that he published in the medical journals, he's given, I think, the best description of our mental conditions. And he says something like, from the first beheading, we had to learn that there were beheadings going on all the time. In the first beheading, we had to learn that we had to care for ourselves, and we developed an inner strength. And those who didn't have it died. And so I have no guilt feelings about having been in prison.
Now, what date were you discharged?
25th of February, 1946.
Right. And just before we leave the subject of your prisoner of war life, I gained the impression when we were having a quiet talk before recording this that you didn't have a strong opinion or good favourable opinion of the International Red Cross. I wonder if you might like to focus on that point for me.
Certainly didn't have, well, I had a strong opinion, all right, and it was one of condemning them. I never saw them come into any other camp except cycle camp. I've seen them come into cycle camp. They'd come in with Sonny, when Sonny was running it, all dressed up, and it was a man, and none of us would have anything to do with him. He couldn't help but see the dreadful state in which we were, and there were some of those Hiroko people walking around, the Walking Dead, just as zombies. No benefit ever came from the vision and from the visit. And as I say, there was no contact made with us at all except visual. So and of course at the end of the war, when it was all over, all of a sudden there were all these Red Cross parcels that were in a shed there at cycle camp, which they willingly handed over to us. Now, I would have thought the Red Cross should have paid more attention to our condition than they did.
What you're saying is they should have ensured that they were being distributed.
Absolutely,
yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I'm very suspicious of the Swiss generally. I have a friend here, he's actually in Europe at the moment, Martin Spitzer. He's Jewish, and I don't know how to say this, but he looks very Jewish. I don't know whether that's an anti-Semitic statement. I hope it's not. He says himself. Anyway, he escaped from, he's a Slovak, but he was in what was then Czechoslovakia. And he got in one of those trains, and he got away after the occupation of Czechoslovakia. He got all the way across Europe. He's told me that he felt most at risk in Switzerland, as the Swiss were handing over Jews to the Germans, and he got out of Switzerland as quickly as he could. He got all the way across France and into Spain and Portugal. And Portugal was neutral, of course. He got from Lisbon to